No audio.
Hello everyone. Before we get started, I wanted to give everyone a moment to go over the disclosures first, and we'll get started momentarily. Hey everyone, welcome. So today I've got a really interesting one for you. We're diving into a company that honestly, most people have probably never heard of, and that's kind of the point. It's one of those under the radar names that's quietly positioning itself at the center of some massive trends in space, satellite communications, and defense. The company is Filtronic plc, ticker FTC on the London Stock Exchange's AIM market, and it also trades on the US OTC markets under FLTCF. Quick disclaimer before we get into it, this is purely for educational and research purposes. I'm not telling you to buy or sell anything. I'm just sharing what I've found through my own research, and I think you'll find it as interesting as I did. So let's get into it. So what does Filtronic actually do? They design and manufacture high-performance RF, microwave, and millimeter wave components. I know, that's a mouthful, but think of it this way. They make the really specialized electronics that allow satellites and ground stations to talk to each other at incredibly high frequencies. Their bread and butter is E-band solid-state power amplifiers, SSPAs, and transceiver modules. These are the components that go into ground stations for low Earth orbit satellite constellations like, Starlink. We'll get to that in a second. They've also developed proprietary gallium nitride MESA chip technology, which is a big deal, and they still do traditional RF filter products and custom solutions for defense radar systems and telecom infrastructure. Now here's what jumped out to me. This is a company founded back in 1977, headquartered in Sedgefield in northeast England, with only about 165 employees. Yet they just posted £72 million in revenue for fiscal year 2025, more than doubling year over year. The space and satellite segment makes up roughly 55% of revenue now, which tells you where the growth story is heading. Let's talk about why. And this is where things get really exciting. In April 2024, Filtronic signed a strategic partnership with SpaceX to supply E-band SSPAs for the Starlink constellation. The initial order was worth about $19.7 million, with a 5-year commitment to keep Filtronic as a key supplier. That alone was huge, but then, throughout fiscal 2025, follow-on orders kept coming in, and the revenue more than doubled. Then in August 2025, they dropped the big one, a record-breaking £47.3 million contract. That's about $62.5 million, and this was the first order for their next-generation GaN-powered SSPA. This is their new tech, not the legacy stuff. And here's the thing about GaN technology that makes it so important. Gallium nitride on silicon carbide delivers significantly higher output power compared to the older gallium arsenide technology. You get better thermal management, improved efficiency at E-band frequencies, and it sets what Filtronic calls a new industry benchmark for size, weight, power, and cost. They've also got a proprietary MMIC chip design, and they're already working on a 550-watt K-band SSPA funded by the UK Space Agency. SpaceX's own VP of engineering for Starlink called Filtronic a valuable partner and an important contributor to the success of Starlink. That's not something SpaceX says about many suppliers. So now, let's talk about what makes this company hard to compete with. When you look at their competitive position, Filtronic operates in a space dominated by much larger companies, names like Qorvo, MACOM, and Infineon. But here's the difference. Those companies are spread across really broad RF portfolios. Filtronic is laser focused on aerospace and defense-grade millimeter wave components. That specialization lets them charge premium prices and build deeper expertise in this very specific niche. Then there's the SpaceX lock-in factor. When you've got a multi-year strategic partnership with the world's largest LEO satellite operator, and you've built custom products specifically for their constellation, the switching cost for SpaceX to move to someone else would be enormous. That's a real moat. You've also got nearly 5 decades of accumulated RF engineering know-how and a substantial patent portfolio. This isn't stuff a competitor can just spin up overnight. And what's really smart is they're now expanding beyond ground stations into satellite payload assemblies. They've won contracts with Airbus for the OneWeb constellation and with the European Space Agency for Viasat's direct-to-device program. That basically opens up an entirely new addressable market for them. Now, let's look at what's ahead and be honest about the risk too. On the growth side, the biggest catalyst is obviously the GNSSPA production ramp. First shipments from that 47.3 million pound SpaceX contract are expected in fiscal 2027, with material revenue flowing through 2027 and 2028. They're also building a brand new custom manufacturing facility in Sedgefield to handle the increased capacity demands. Beyond SpaceX, they've got satellite payload contracts with Airbus, a feeder link technology project with SA and Viasat, and defense wins, including a radar contract with Leonardo, and ongoing programs with Kineticu and BAE Maritime Systems. Oh, and they launched Prometheus, the highest power V-band SSPA currently available on the market. Not bad for a 165-person company. Now, I always want to be balanced here. The risks are real. The biggest one is customer concentration. SpaceX is a significant chunk of their revenue, and any slowdown in Starlink deployment would hit them hard. They're a small company trying to scale up manufacturing of a new technology, which always carries execution risk. And being listed on AIM rather than the main London Stock Exchange means lower liquidity, which isn't ideal for everyone. The currency dynamics between GBP and USD contracts are worth watching too. So keep all of that in mind. But let's wrap up with something interesting. One of the most interesting angles on Filtronic is as a potential acquisition target. Think about it. They've got proprietary GN IP in a niche where there are very few players globally. A proven relationship with SpaceX. They're small enough at around 600 million pounds market cap to be easily absorbed. And they've got strategic UK presence with defense security clearances. Who might come knocking? Well, Qorvo is an obvious one. They actually acquired Filtronic's semiconductor arm back in 2008, so there's history there. Mucom could use Filtronic to fill their millimeter wave gap and instantly plug into the SpaceX supply chain. L3Harris would get a nice defense and space integration play, and UK defense names like Leonardo, BAE Systems, or Cobham Advance could see this as a natural vertical integration or sector roll-up opportunity. In terms of longer-term potential, if the GN production ramp, defense contracts, and satellite payload wins all execute as projected, the company could grow well over 3 to 5 years or may get acquired. So look, this is one of those companies where the technology, the partnerships, and the market timing all seem to be lining up. Doesn't mean there aren't risks. We went through those, but I thought it was worth bringing to your attention. As always, do your own research and I'll catch you all on the next one. As always, if you liked our video, share with others and don't forget to subscribe to the channel.